So I'm Sam DeMoss. I'm the one who will be interviewing you. You feel me? Okay. And then if you could just state your name and what the interview is for.
My name is Gregory Hay. I'm VP of Product Management at Local Motors. And this is for the future mobility in our automotive.
And then we just need to know if it's okay to play the video for public view.
Yes, it is.
Okay, perfect. So how did you get involved with Ollie in the project?
So originally, I joined the company as a program manager, overseeing materials and process development. And so where I came on, we were working with developing the 3D printing methodologies, materials, equipment, and software validation of chassis and components. And now I'm joining the company as a VP of Product Management for the vehicle program, where we're taking our fully baked additive manufacturing capabilities and bringing them to a commercial product. And so now I'm involved with kind of the product as a whole, whereas previously I was kind of involved with just kind of the building blocks and designing the chassis and all the team that revolves around that. And so now we're looking at taking all the things we've learned from the pilot version of the vehicle, which we rode today, and bringing it over to the commercial offering of the vehicle for Q1 2020. And so we're trying to take everything from autonomy to advanced manufacturing methodologies. How do we make this into a better, more meaningful product that has lower cost, more efficiency, and even higher recyclability with how it's made.
And when you picture the future of cities and transportation, what does that look like for you?
So I think we're very much going towards a system of shared mobility. We're already seeing that with trends with like Uber and other rideshare services like Lyft, where more and more people don't want to own cars, right? They want the convenience, but they don't want to have the burden of ownership, or they maybe don't use it. Or if you're living in a dense area, even the cost of storing or insuring a car can be quite high. And so as we get into an era of shared mobility, we also want to make sure it's a value-added opportunity, right? So a lot of people don't take a bus because it's inconvenient, or they don't like the experience of riding a bus, right? in some cities and states, it's not as great as it is maybe even here in the valley, right? So, but getting people to want to change their habits and do something that's more efficient, even more cost-effective, but still not creating an environment which is not pleasant to be in, right? So now we want to make sure, how do we make it accessible to everybody by being all-inclusive, but also how to make it a better experience, right? So how do we change people's ways of thinking and moving themselves to be a better experience with less cost?
And then, do you picture the Ollie being the future of transportation, or kind of a step that initiates the process?
So Ollie is just one piece of the process, right? So because there's a whole ecosystem of vehicles, right? Ollie's not meant to go from one end of the city to the other in this current version. It's meant to kind of fill a gap, right? So right now we're focusing on local campuses, corporate campuses, local mobility districts, urban center core downtowns with maybe a total loop of 1 to 2 miles of coverage. Right, so there's still parts of the pie that make up the whole, and that's, we still need to be able to connect to light rail or longer running bus routes, or even connect to bird scooters and things like that, right? Because the vehicle can't go up to a campus door, across the lawn, right? So on sidewalks. So there's still different modes of transportation that are required to complete the ecosystem, and so there's still a place for traditional vehicles and buses and trains and scooters and things like that. It's just serving a different need.
And what would you consider, or describe your personal relationship to transportation and like how that's changed since working at Ollie?
I'd say the biggest change I've personally had. I'm a huge car nut, so and I'm a petrol head. So, on the surface, it was different for me, right? Because I came from kind of more traditional mindset. And one of the things that actually changed it for me personally was my involvement with our Accessible Ollie program about 1.5 years ago. Where I really, came into a program and had to solve the problem of how do we work with people with disability needs? How could this vehicle actually enable them to give them better quality of life and more access to reliable transportation? It was something I really kind of drove me to focus on some of that segment of the market, where there's an underserved population that needs the accessibility and equality that everybody else has. And so one of the missions of this vehicle is to be more inclusive around accessibility technologies as we go forward, to make sure that part of the population is served correctly and fairly.
That is I'm trying to think. So do you think? So you said the Ollie will fit. Do you think the Ollie will fit better into some cities than others?
Definitely, right? There's in some cases actually it can fix problems, right? Because not every city has good public transportation, and what we allow is that the pathway to on-demand type public transit, right? So in some cases where you're maybe light on public transit, this can maybe even fill the gap, and or add supplemental coverage to areas of even dense population where there's good public transit, but they're not connected very well. So I think it can serve both markets.
And then I think the last thing we're having to do, if you could kind of just describe the process of the Ollie as it's happening. I know that's kind of hard, but describe like what makes it able to like go around, or you know what I mean, so we can voice over with that when we're showing the video of the Ollie.
Yeah.
Great. So the current vehicle is running a pre-mapped route with pre-mapped destinations, and as it's going around a pre-mapped area, it is looking for landmarks or GPS signal to find its way around a given roadway or course. And as we come along certain instances, we may find things that are kind of dynamically present themselves. So pedestrians, people on bikes, or cars, right, that aren't always in the same place, right? So the vehicle also needs to be able to make a decision: do I stop? Do I go? Do I turn left? Do I turn right? And so we went through this process today on the vehicle where we set up barrels on the course, right? So that's a good way to show that you don't know what life's going to throw you on a course or a road or a private roadway, and so we need to be able to navigate those situations. And so by looking at scenarios that we can't predict, how is the vehicle going to approach the scenario and make a decision? Do I go left? Do I go right? Do I stop? Or is this a situation that cannot be navigated, where we ask a steward to step in and take manual control? And so all these things will present themselves in the course of any autonomous deployment. And so we're trying to be proactive about that and make sure we can have a way to quite literally navigate the situation.
That's perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.